Well, we're at that time of the year again. All the movies have been released, everything that could have been out has been out, and I've seen almost every film that I possibly could, and to be honest, just like I mentioned on the last video that I did of the 2017 montage, there was a lot of great stuff this year. There was like one of those rare gem years where there was so much to love. These are my top 10 favorite movies of the years with some honorable mentions at the end. Of course, once again, guys, I want to let y'all know this is solely my opinion. This list will not be what I technically think are technically the best movies of the year. It's just my favorites, the ones I had the most fun with or the most satisfied with or had the most surprises with. You'll notice them with some of the films in this list you'll get to see. Well, pretty much without further ado, let's start the video. I also brought my little BB-8 with me on the ride. Look, he spits out candy. Oh shit, no! On the number 10 spot, we have 2017's reboot of It. Now, It, this was probably the most biggest surprise I had this whole year when it comes to film. I did not expect this movie to be good at all, being honest. When it was first announced by the beginning of the year, I believe I was hanging out with my friends at, I think, a Wendy's after we saw a movie. I believe it was the Lego Batman movie. Can't remember exactly, though. But we were all talking, and my friend starts freaking out because he was watching the trailer. I'm like, what are you watching? And he shows us, and it's It. I thought this movie was going to be a bomb. It was going to be trash. From all the reboots that I've seen these past years, specifically when it comes to the horror genre, but it passed every single one of my expectations. This was a great movie with great characters, a very interesting story on the idea of children and how they deal with fear, and a lot of great stuff that I don't want to spoil because, of course, I want you guys to end up watching this movie, but it's on the number 10 spot of how satisfied I was, and I even ended up going to see this movie twice, and it was a great time. Oh my god, I really loved this movie. Please go watch it. At number 9, we have Thor Ragnarok. Now, the MCU has never let us down, especially this year. This was, for me, probably one of my favorite years when it comes to MCU films. Honestly, almost every film did not let me down anyway. Even the other Marvel movies that were not part of the MCU that we'll get to later that are also on this list, which is freaking amazing. But Thor, I agree with most people, is one of the most obscure characters. Not necessarily he was ever a terrible character at all, but Thor was really the least interesting. And it's sad because he technically should be the most interesting of them all, with literally being a god. So, but pretty much what happened with this film is it does everything that Thor should have been. A crazy freaking comedy fest of just insanity and all the weird stuff we can see that this character can clearly be with, just like how the comics were. Honestly, all the Marvel films for the MCU that came out this year were just a great ton of laughs with all my friends. Man, they know how to do the comedy, and especially with this one. You can tell everybody in the film just had so much fun making it, and still can tell a great story at the same time. You can even check out my review. I could go way much on it, but I can spend hours. It's just a very fun ride with a lot of great characters in the story, just like almost every film in this is, to be honest. It's Thor 3. It's an MCU film. What do you expect? Number 8, we have probably the most controversial one on this list, Star Wars Episode 8, The Last Jedi. Now, I know what a lot of people are going to say now, because as you all know, like I even mentioned in the last review that I did on this movie, there's a lot of people that are really being divided in this film, that they absolutely think it's like one of the worst films of all time. Some are calling it the worst Star Wars film and not even should be considered one. Like, people have gotten so crazy at the fact that people like this movie. Now, The Last Jedi, despite of course having its issues out there, there's still so much to love from the characters, from the story, and even in the story element of how much risks that it takes and how it opens this universe more than we thought would be fact in this Star Wars universe, and I appreciate it for that. It doesn't have to be everything that we want it to be, like everybody seems to be getting pissed off for being very different or not being exactly the way the story that people want. This is a great film that brings it in, and everything I love about this universe. Go watch this movie. Don't listen to what people are saying. You're gonna have a lot to love about it. I honestly know it feels like I didn't explain too much, but there's a reason why. There's a lot of big spoilers that I don't want to get into. It's a great film. I really love it. And at number 7, we have probably one of my favorite MCU films of all time now, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. This is the only film I think I have of this year that I own the Blu-ray box set itself, or the Blu-ray copy itself, I mean, not box set, and the ticket. I freaking love this movie when I was going to see it. I'm very ashamed that I was never able to review it. I was actually planning to do a review when I first saw this back in May, but I just never had time with all the other stuff that I was doing for YouTube videos, and then I just always, usually spend time with my family. Things always come up, and it just ended up not happening. But without a doubt, I had to put it in its list where I think it really deserves. Now, is it a perfect movie? No, once again, no movie's perfect. Most of these movies can have their clear sets of problems. As the basic stuff of an MCU film, that it doesn't necessarily have one of the most interesting villains, at least for the beginning, which we'll get into why I love this film so much, but it still has something that it's always had, even with the first ones, with its amazing style, with the freaking music that I love so much, the exciting adventure of sci-fi that you can tell was being a fan of Star Wars, I'm a big sucker for, and these amazing characters that I've grown to love. But I honestly do think it's one of my favorite sequels out there of all time, up there probably with Dark Knight and Empire. Not that it's a perfect film, I don't want to say that, but I've just had so much fun with it, and there's so much to love about it and so little to really, criticize over. It's just an amazing sequel. It's what a sequel should be. Fun, entertaining, and helping or building our characters more. I freaking love this movie. And at number 6, we have Baby Driver. I actually saw this one this week, believe it or not, also thanks to my amazing friend Nick. And it was such an amazing movie. I was honestly really surprised how good it was. It was such an entertaining film. Ironically, the last film that I saw with cars that it wasn't necessarily amazing, but I enjoyed, was Fate of the Furious this year. And I clearly still wasn't a big fan of it. I was actually also planning to review that one. But Baby Driver was a really big surprise for me. It wasn't just a fun and interesting story. It was filled with amazing lovable characters that I've honestly grown to love now in a couple of days that I've seen it. I freaking love Baby, the main character of the story, and the style that this movie takes. You know, it's sort of, I love to compare it so much to the Guardians of the Galaxy series. You know how he is so much on his life of listening to music all the time while he's doing crazy things around his days or throughout the story. It's a lot of fun. I don't want to spoil anything else of it. It's a great story and a lot of great fun with amazing characters. Go watch Baby Driver. Don't make the mistake and skip it like I almost did. And at number 5, going into the top 5, we start with probably one of the most ironic ones in this whole list, The Disaster Artist. You all know what I think about this film. I reviewed it itself, based on, ironically, arguably one of the worst films ever made, The Room by Tommy Wiseau, the legend himself. You are tearing me apart, Lisa. That freaking never gets old to make fun of. This is just one of the most interesting films I've ever seen, you know, being a biography and trying to be an inspirational story of a guy that made one of the worst films ever made. Because compared to all other biography films that, you know, most of the time, like I said, try to tell an inspirational story of, like, Steve Jobs is the one that I've seen so many times that people try to do a biography film on him. It's like, I've seen 3 different ones already. And it's like, you know, he came from really hard times and then he became, like, the biggest man in the world. It's so inspirational. Tommy Wiseau doesn't have that kind of story. He starts low and he just becomes a laughingstock. But there's so much more to love for him. But that's the big thing why it makes it so interesting. You're gonna love this movie, especially if you love The Room like I do. Just go watch it, no questions asked. It's gonna be a fun ride to start with, just with that. And at number 4, we have Disney's Pixar, or Pixar's Coco. Because you can tell this same year we had 2 films, and clearly one seemed to be a little more corporate Disney than Pixar anything with Cars 3 this year. But thank God they released Coco this year, and shows why I love Pixar so much and why I've always loved them since I was freaking 5. They've always been amazing what they do. Best-selling, very strange and interesting, but amazing stories where you care for everybody. I know I'm kind of beating a dead horse with amazing characters as usual. I mean, there's so much to love about this movie. I don't want to dwell too much because there's a lot of big story that I don't want to spoil for you guys. There's a reason why everybody who, before I went to go see this movie, are even still telling me that they end up crying whenever they get to the ending, and I did cry too, I'm not gonna lie. It's a very sad ending of how the movie goes. And it's also one of the most beautiful films I've ever seen. Last year's animated movie that I love is, I think I mentioned throughout some of my videos last year, was Kubo and the 2 Strings. This year finally goes to Coco with just these beautiful visuals. It clearly is inspired by a lot of Mexican style of art, and it really does a good job at putting it in. Oh my god. I don't want to talk too much about this movie because I don't want to spoil a lot of it, but I hope I've enticed you guys enough just with that. It's a Pixar movie. I really hope you guys give this a watch. Don't skip this one. I really love Coco. And at number 3, we're getting to the top 3 already, we have Logan. This is why I said it earlier, that even films out of the MCU that's still in the Marvel film franchise can still be freaking amazing and prove themselves this year. Holy crap, I never saw this one coming. This wasn't also one of probably the biggest surprises. Never been a huge fan, honestly, of the X-Men. Don't kill me, I barely bought the first one this year after I saw Logan. Still haven't watched it. Thank God I managed to go see this movie, and I now understand why so many people love these characters and this whole universe of the X-Men. It's probably for the first time after, ironically, I saw The Dark Knight this year. Honestly, this is the first time in a long time that I've seen another comic book movie, aside from The Dark Knight, though it wasn't that long ago that I saw it, that I feel like can finally rival the #1 spot of one of the best comic book movies of all time. Because as you know, the reason I think The Dark Knight is amazing, a lot of people like to say it is that it manages to be more of a film of its own, really, than just a comic book film. You know, the MCU films are great, and I've clearly mentioned, but they always, you know, like I've even mentioned in all these reviews, always follow seemingly a same formula. The Dark Knight, and specifically even the Dark Knight trilogy, I love it all. That's another day of talking about. And Logan seems to be those very few films that manage to sort of break out of that group. I feel like I compare this movie for some reason to The Last of Us a lot on how the characters sort of work in this, where it's like you have your little buddy and the main character, and they seem to go through these crazy adventures in this new world that they're in. I really love this movie. Go see Logan. I what more can I say? I mean, if I say anything else, I might spoil the movie. Just go watch this. It's without a doubt for me one of the best comic book movies I've seen in years. Outside, of course, from The Dark Knight that I also saw this year. This and Logan are in my top spot. At number 2, we have Kirk. I did a review on this one too, and like I mentioned earlier, oh my god, it was probably one of the most embarrassing videos I've ever done, aside from my early stuff, on how I messed up the whole idea that I thought this movie wasn't based in World War I. I didn't know it was a World War II story. But you know what? At least I can admit it, I messed up. If you want to laugh your ass off and have a good time, just go watch that review. But I still don't take away anything else that I still freaking love this movie, and everything else of this was an amazing masterpiece, and it's still up there despite that point of one of the best war movies I've ever seen, up there with Saving Private Ryan, which if you all don't know is my personal favorite war movie. I think I even mentioned that in that review. I've said so much about this movie already in my review, but this movie was one of the ones that proved to me that you don't necessarily have to have great characters, you have to have a great story. If the story and the visuals and the way it's told are great enough, it can forgive the characters, and I never thought I would see that coming, but yeah, this movie is really amazing. Go watch this film if you want, especially have a really fun time. You didn't get to go watch this in theaters, then just still freaking buy the movie, put some headphones on, and help the experience, or if not, get the best surround speakers you can, and get a nice little flat screen, because that helped. It wouldn't take away from the film, but that really helps the experience, trust me. And now, before we get into my number 1 favorite film of the whole year, I want to mention the honorable mentions. Now, none of these films were necessarily terrible at all. They're just some things that I thought could have been done better, or, you know, a lot of them being very similar to the ones on the top 10 list themselves. I thought the ones on the top 10 just did a better job at what they were trying to show when it comes to the stories or portraying the characters. Those 4 films that I personally picked for the honorable mentions this year was Spider-Man Homecoming, Wonder Woman, Get Out, and the Lego Batman movie. All great films, but there was just many things that I just thought could have done better. Something I didn't like, especially, for example, Get Out. Despite I really enjoyed the movie, and a very interesting commentary on race and, you know, the things that happen, you know, nowadays in modern day America and how people treat each other when it comes to race and racism, you know, all that very happy stuff. There was specifically my biggest problem with that film that I had with tone, that I just thought it could have been told better, that I just felt like there wasn't a specific way I should have felt. It's sort of the best way to say it. It was very confused. I was very conflicted when I watched the film, that I didn't know if I was supposed to take it super serious, because then throughout a lot of the movie it seems that it got very silly with a lot of jokes and a lot of characters, which sometimes were really good, like the MCU films where, you know, they get something very emotional and serious and still give you a good chuckle out of it. I really enjoyed that, but then it's like the movie turned into a freaking comedy in some points. I was like, should I take this serious, or what is it supposed to be? But nonetheless, it's so a great movie that I really think you guys should give a watch. It's a very interesting film, and there's a lot of stuff that I really enjoy, and the stuff that the visuals that it does. It gets really trippy. It's a very strange film. Another one is Wonder Woman and Spider-Man Homecoming that I want to put together. Wonder Woman specifically, it was, no, both honestly. They were great movies that I had a great time with, but specifically I want to focus more on Spider-Man Homecoming because it represents a lot of why I thought these 2 films were just really honorable mentions. I really love, just like Wonder Woman, Spider-Man Homecoming. I even saw Spider-Man Homecoming for my freaking birthday, and I even saw it twice after, because that's how much I loved it. I was very satisfied with both movies, but once again, just like with Wonder Woman, they're just great comic book movies, you know? It's not that we've never seen them before. They're really entertaining, really fun, and there's a lot of stuff that I liked. And there's even some things, once again, talking about the whole thing that I feel like could have been done better, specifically with Wonder Woman when the action scenes came up, but at the end of the day, they're just great comic book films. Very happy that they were really good, but there are films on this list that I thought just did it better. That's pretty much what I think about the honorable mentions. Oh yeah, and the Lego Batman movie also pretty much. Great movie, love the Lego movies. But, you know, like I said, it's nothing special. It's just a really fun spoof film on the Batman character. Still great though, I will still give it a watch, but you know, it's nothing amazing. I'd rather watch the Lego movie personally over the Lego Batman movie. But that's pretty much it, guys. Now let's go into number 1, my favorite movie the whole year. Now, in all seriousness, my number 1 favorite movie of 2017, it was War for the Planet of the Apes. I freaking love this movie. I did a review for this one. I remember I talked about it. There's really not much to say about it aside from that review. Once again, go watch that one. It's one of the ones that I luckily were able to do this year. Oh my god, this was one of the... It goes up now because even all 3 of the new Planet of the Apes trilogy was amazing. Of how this trilogy really had nothing terrible in them, and now it goes up there with the original Star Wars trilogy and the Toy Story trilogy up there. Some of the best trilogies ever where, like, you can enjoy them so much and there's really nothing terrible with them. This finally can go up there because it was that much of a good movie. So you can tell how much I'm rambling, how much I freaking love it. That really tears your heart apart with the stuff they go to. They really explore a lot of depressing themes, like Holocaust themes, that really gets disturbing throughout the movie what they go to. I don't want to spoil it. It's just super exciting. It's really emotional. It messes with your heart. You love the characters. It's It's one of the most perfect films I've seen out there. Even like the weakest parts are amazing. I don't want to spoil anything, that's all, I'll leave it at. My number one favorite movie of the year without a doubt. Somebody give Andy Serkis an Oscar. Give an award to the effects. So I'll leave it at. I'll write if not. And that was pretty much 2017 when it comes to movie, guys. As you can tell, I had a great time this year. I'm really happy that I managed to see so many different movies. There's also a lot of movies that weren't necessarily great, that they didn't get that 8 out of 10 status, which, by the way, is how I put movies up in the top 10. They have to at least be 8 out of 10. There are still a lot of great movies out that I gave a 7 that, as you guys know, are 7.5. That they're not necessarily amazing, great, or terrible at all. They're just solid, good films, or pretty good films. That's how I usually rate. I know I have a weird rating system. You'll understand it as we keep going in the future and review films. Well, guys, that's pretty much it for the whole year of 2017. I've said it all enough. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. But before we end this, there is one thing that I did mention on my Best of 2017 gaming video, which you guys should go check out. It's a really nice video. I'm not promoting myself at all. No, but honestly, I did mention I was giving out something. You wonder what it is. Like I said, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 is the only film so far this year that I actually own. It's for Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 is on Netflix, so I pretty much have no reason, as you all can clearly see from the box. It's not just a Blu-ray copy, it comes with DVD and digital. I have no reason to have the digital copy. I first was just thinking about giving it to a family for Christmas or something, but I thought, let's be more fun. This year I've always wanted to do this and give back, so I'm going to be doing a giveaway of the Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 digital copy. And this is very simple. Honestly, it took a lot to think about how I'm going to give this out. I was always very scared on how to do this and how I'm going to set this up. It's very simple. Now I've mentioned my favorite films of 2017. Now I want to see your guys' top 10 films of 2017. Honorable mentions included. You post them in the comments down below. If even if you want to go even crazier, you send me a link. That the fact that you did a video, do a video, send me the link. If you're that dedicated to and that passionate, do it. I love it. I'd probably even give you more credit because the answer I like the best or the way you do it the best, I'll give you the movie. Good luck, guys. Hope you have some really good answers. Get very creative. You know, if you can do that, if you can make me laugh somehow, that'd be fun. But anyway, all aside from that, I hope you all enjoyed this video. It was a lot of fun to do. Happy New Year's, guys. I hope you all had a great year like I did. I had a lot of fun. Thank you all for watching, as always. You'll always have a great day, night, or whatever the freaking time you're watching this, and see you next year. Why do I think that's funny? Oh yeah, and just in case if you wonder what was the worst film I've seen this whole year, because I barely saw any, it's the fucking Emoji Movie. I know I'm not gonna even show it anymore. Freaking ripped it. Fuck that movie. Never talking about that one again.